Hi there, welcome back to my views and news with two new stories for you. First one is about Jawar Mohammed. I did a video about a raid at his house. He rejected that report. He responded to my video. I have received more information now from Nairobi, Kenya. I want to give this update to you. Second news story is about Eritrean opposition. Eritrean opposition groups could be in trouble, especially those which are based in the US and which have been based in the US for decades, if not for years. Let's start, viewers. Firstly, Jawar. Jawar Mohammed is in the US these days. He is a prominent politician, opposition politician from the Oromia region of Ethiopia. The most followed politician in social media is Jawar. He's popular. He was part of Kio movement as well, but he's very critical of Ethiopian government. That is why perhaps he is not in a position to return to the country. If he returns, government will definitely take action against him because Zimbabwe's government does not tolerate dissent. It wants to crush opposition politicians, opposition political parties. Jawar, I say, has launched an election campaign. He's shrewd man, starting early. He knows that if Abiy is not stopped now, he will get himself re-elected once again, like 2021. So he wants to return to Ethiopia. Before that, he wants to uh, pave the way for his safe return. He is busy in social media, sharing videos, pictures, messages, portraying the Ethiopian government as anti-people, anti-Ethiopia, and incompetent. Ethiopian government is definitely not sleeping. It knows what Jawar's intentions are, so it is after Jawar now. It stopped Jawar from launching a book in Nairobi, Kenya. A book launch was planned, but at the last minute, the host, the owner of the venue, refused to allow Jawar to use the venue because Ethiopian government intervened. Ethiopian intelligence agencies intervened. Jawar's book launch in Nairobi was cancelled. He had to go to Europe to launch his book from. Then I did a video, told you about a raid at Jawar's house in Nairobi, Kenya. Jawar on Twitter responded to it saying that none of his house had been raided in Nairobi, Kenya, that my report was incorrect. He said you should verify from multiple sources before making videos. I responded, I said, okay, I apologize. I'll recheck. Uh, I have rechecked now. Yes, I rechecked from multiple sources. Jawar, a house which remained under the use of Jawar was raided by security forces, Kenyan police, in Nairobi, Kenya, in Westlands neighborhood. 2 or 3 arrests were made. It is being confirmed to me. Whether Jawar accepts it or not, this is what I have learned from the ground. Obviously, he does not want to burn the bridges with Kenyan government. He won't criticize Kenyan government because he wants to keep the door open for his return to Kenya, though it's going to be difficult for him to return to Kenya, I believe. Second development is also from Nairobi, Kenya, showing that Kenyan government has launched a crackdown on those booksellers who are selling Jawar's book in Gabo. Reportedly, some arrests have been made of booksellers who were selling Jawar's book in a neighborhood in Nairobi. where there is sizable Oromo population. East Leh. East Leh is the name of the neighborhood in Nairobi, Kenya, where booksellers were selling Hingabo. Arrests made reported. Again, a confirmation I have got from Nairobi, Kenya, but Jawar won't admit that. Why? Because he does not want to spoil his relations with the Kenyan government. But sorry, but I think that in near future it's going to be difficult for Jawar to return to Kenya and to resume political activities in Kenya. Kenya has huge Oromo population. From Kenya, you can have an impact on Ethiopian politics. Abiy has removed Jawar from Nairobi, Kenya. You can say that. Sorry, his and by the way, he should be careful about his safety. I don't think he'll be safe if he returns to Nairobi, Kenya. I'm not advising him; it's up to him to decide what to do. But in Nairobi, you saw what happened to a Tigrayan businessman. In broad daylight, he was kidnapped by intelligence agencies. Samson was his name. Still missing. I could not confirm his release. Where is he? No one knows. When he was kidnapped, Kenyan police members were seen in the background standing there. Jawar could not launch his book in Kenya. He is conducting tours to introduce his book in Europe, in US, maybe in Canada as well. Why not in Africa? Africa not safe for such politicians. Yes, he can return to Kenya, but he will have to stay silent. Ethiopian government is telling Kenyan government that Kenya should not allow opposition politicians, opposition armed groups to use Kenyan soil for activities against Ethiopian government. That is why Ethiopia-Kenya joint operation against Ola. That is why Jawar has been removed from Nairobi, from Kenya. Secondly, viewers, it seems that Eritrean opposition is going to be in trouble in the US. US has long been backing, supporting, funding Eritrean opposition groups. Why? Because US wants a regime change. It wanted to remove Isaias Afwerki from power. It was supportive of EPRDF, of TPLF. Despite several attempts, US could not corner Isaias Afwerki. Afwerki government was put under sanctions. EU also imposed sanctions on Afwerki government. It was removed from SWIFT too, but Eritrea managed to survive, though at a very high cost. Its people suffered, and no real democratic reforms could be introduced in Eritrea because one man entrenched himself in Eritrea. One party entrenched itself in Eritrea. So US basically could bring about no change. But it has been backing opposition groups who want to bring about change in Eritrea. The opposition groups are mainly based in Europe and North America, though now they're trying to organize on Ethiopian soil. These Eritrean opposition groups have been receiving support from NED, National Endowment Fund for Democracy. NED is a US non governmental organization which has been allegedly promoting democracy across the world. Basically, it has been providing financial support to opposition wherever it wanted regime change. It has been backing regime change operations in Ukraine, in Kyrgyzstan, in other countries. It has been giving money to Eritrean opposition groups too. Across the world, this organization has been funding those politicians, those media outlets, those political parties which were aligned with US interests. Eddie Standard was also accused of getting money from NED. Eritrean Information Minister has been leveling direct allegations against Eddie Standard that Eddie Standard in the past received money from Ned. Donald Trump government has frozen uh, funding for Ned. US government gives funds to Ned, and then Ned distributes this money to individuals, organizations, parties, governments sometimes abroad. Ned funding suspended, it means Ned won't be able to fund Eritrean opposition groups. I want to name them. There are several, by the way, who have been receiving money from the US government through Ned. And by the way, these Eritrean opposition groups did not bring about any change. They just received money, they met with US government officials, they had connections there, but they could not bring about any change in Eritrea. With the freezing of funding for NED, we could see limited activities of Eritrean opposition groups in the US. Uh, Only the Eritrean opposition groups which are trying to organize themselves in Ethiopia could be a pain in the side of Isaias Afwerki government. Those operating in the US, in Europe, funded by NED for decades, could not be of any significance. But it seems that they lose their voice, at least on international level. These opposition Eritrean groups should have their own sources of funding. They could not turn into bigger, more impressive opposition groups despite receiving money from the US, receiving money for decades from the US. Thank you for watching.